All right. Shalom, shalom. Before we begin, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Kagadash. This is Akim Abdulazil, brother of Wabba. We're going to do another lesson through the spirit, power of Yahweh, Yahweh Shah. Just want to get into it.
I just want to say something about, there was a speech that Donald Trump had made like not too long ago. And he was saying he was at Mount Rushmore. You know what Mount Rushmore is? Had those heads of presidents. There he gave some speech. Mount Rushmore, located in South Dakota, right? I did a lesson on it, but I just want to speak on it because that's what these devils do, man. Like, they try to they they trying to find ways to incriminate whoever is against their agenda, right? So they try to find ways to incriminate who's against their agenda, and he made a comment within that speech, basically saying that whoever's telling their children that this is stolen land, they're on stolen land, and that they're heroes, meaning basically their forefathers or their presidents, basically are oppressors. You are communist, man. He said you can't be a patriot and a communist at the same time. But the fact of the matter is, man, this is proven history. Like that. For example, they said stolen land. That the president of that time, which his name was Andrew Jackson, right? He created what they call the Indian Removal Act, right? It was like what they call the five civilized tribes or whatever. They were trying to say. I think the Cherokee was one, the Seminole was one. I can't remember all of them, right? So the Cherokee tribe took it to Supreme Court, and there was a Supreme Court justice that agreed to say, yeah, the government has no right to take you off your land, right? He said they had no right to take you off your land. So this is Supreme Court justice. He said they had no constitutional right. It was against it. It was unconstitutional for them to remove you off your land. But you know what? The Andrew Jackson, which was the president at that time, he disregarded what that justice said. Said this was too preposterous or some shit like that, right? And he created what they called the Indian Removal Act and used the military to force those tribes, those five tribes, they say the five, they call it the five civilized or something like that tribes or whatever. So more or less they was at peace with these tribes. The scripture tells you that. What is it? With those that said, I can't remember how it's called, man. Like he will at the ones that he's at peace with. So basically, they was at peace with those what they call five civilized tribes, right? But he created what they call the Indian Removal Act and used the military to force these people, these Indians, so-called these Native Americans, the so-called Indians, right, westward, which was the Trail of Tears, which thousands of so-called Native Americans died, man, during that trip, man. So what you call that, man? You stole their land. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what he said. He's not going to have it, man. This is your current commander in chief, and this is secular history, man. They even teach you this. They taught us about the Trail of Tears in school. So what is that, man? They force people off their land. That means you stole their land. You use the military, which he's coming, your current commander in chief, Donald Trump. he's going to do that very same thing, which is what they call martial law. He's going to use the military to fulfill his agenda. You know, they did it then. Andrew Jackson, where he used the army, the force, the Native Americans westward, which led to the Trail of Tears, and he called that. And what they did, they displaced these Native Americans and forced them westward, which led to the Trail of Tears, man. So it's not, and then he called it slander, right? That's what he said. Slandering. He said, you're not, I forgot, I'm probably gonna find a clip and just let you hear. You know, because that's what Esau is, man. He's the fucking slanderer, man.
I got a precept, this book of Proverbs 16 and 30. He shutteth his eyes to devise forward things. By shutting your eyes, meaning that what he's neglecting the truth. He shutting his eyes, meaning that he don't want to see the reality of what he's saying. There's actually what they call secular history, proven facts that these things in history took place, but he want to shut his eyes to the truth. He shut his eyes to devise forward things. And you go into that word forward, it means what? This distortion. So he's trying to neglect, shut his eyes of the truth of what happened, meaning that in history you have their forefathers, these so-called these United States presidents had owned people, man, as property. They were slave owners, to say the least, you know. But he wanted to shut his eyes to that. They have did treacherous things. They have took a land. They have took people. They have took a land that didn't belong to them. And another thing I want to talk about too, if I can find it, but that's why we need to do a lesson. But yeah, they also want to go to this. I heard these Edomites say also that during a time of especially slavery here in Babylon the Great, aka America, there was no law that pretty much there was no policy, I'm gonna say like this, that outlawed slavery. But that's a lie in itself. The Bible even tell you that it said, whoever stealeth a man and is found in his possession, surely he should be put to death, man, roughly paraphrasing. So in the Bible, it tells you that you shouldn't steal men. You shouldn't steal someone. So that's what this devil done. Went around stealing people, stealing land that doesn't belong to them. But they're trying to say that there was no policy or no law put in place that outlaw slavery. But the Bible tells you otherwise. You know, I'm gonna continue on. Proverbs 16 and 30 said he shut up his eyes to devise forward things. And that word forward means what? Distortion. He's trying to distort history. Moving his lips, he bringeth evil to pass, man. Yeah, he's trying to, you know, by these devils, that's what they do when they speak, whether it be when they speaking and then they're putting in place policies, writing up policies, you know, speaking these forward things into existence to what? Bring evil to pass, man. You know, because that's what this devil is, man. There's nothing in this devil that's upright, man. He's crooked, man. And that's what also another word before means what? Crookedness, man. They're a bunch of crooks, man. You know, they want to demonize everybody else, but they don't want to be held accountable for their actions, man. Okay.
Yeah, I also found this other I probably played the clip first, right? Because I made a lesson on it. And I thought, yeah, they wasn't at peace with them, you know, which I'm trying to understand why they call them 5 civilized tribes. I guess they were just working with it, or they whatever. You know, I can't remember the full background on it, why they called them the civilized tribes, the 5 civilized tribes or whatever. So I guess more or less they had treaties with them. But I'm gonna go ahead and play this video.
You can be loyal to Karl Marx, or you can be loyal to America. You can be a communist, or you can be a patriot. You cannot be both. As for those who peddle Marxist lies about our heritage, tell our children that we live on stolen land or that our heroes were oppressors, they're doing something much worse than slandering our past. They are slandering and attacking our future. Not going to let that happen. You can.
So you heard what he said, man. You know, he said whoever's telling our children we own stolen land, that our heroes are oppressors, they're more or less communists, and he's not going to let it happen, man. You know, so if he's not going to let it happen, what that means, he's going to take action. More or less, he's going to probably, you know, do we understand how this devil move? He's going to try to make legislation to incriminate people that speaks the truth, right? Use legislation, his unrighteous decrees and policies. But I'm gonna try to find the full video because I seen it. Let me see. I played it like yesterday because I was looking at the full. Cause he like I said, he was at Mount Rushmore. So his heroes, he's talking about these presidents, and they was slave owners, man. And I'm gonna get the proof on that, right? They had 12 U.S. presidents. They were slave owners. So that's oppression. That's what that is. Let me see. Yeah,
I look forward to you joining us.
That's oppression, man. You know, if you own slaves, then he done obviously what Esau done to the slaves. That's basically oppression, man. I mean, that's exactly oppression.
Skyscrapers harnessed electricity, and a country who embrace ideas totally opposed to our way of life and our great success.
Mhm.
Communist menace in our land. A generation after we fought and won the Cold War against the menace of communism, there is now a resurgence of the communist menace in our land, including from newcomers to our country who embrace ideas totally opposed to our way of life and our great success.
Our way of
These are
life,
not mere political.
our way of life, what our way of life and our success. He's talking about Esau. He's talking about himself, him and his people. The basically colonize it, colonism, damn, colonizing. You know, colonizing the planet, colonizing the people that was on this land first, right? Right, the Native Americans. You know, so this is our truth. This is our way of life. How we say is happening, even though this is factual history and secular history. Like I said, I remember in high school they was talking about the Trail of Tears, you know, and that's what it is. You displaced the Native Americans. Basically, you stole them and took them off their land, man. So what is that, man? Right?
Disagreements like differences over taxes or regulations. Communism is a mortal threat to American liberty. It is the greatest threat to our country, including World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, or even 9/11. We're not going to let this happen to us.
Look, you see, communists, even 9/11. So he's equating you. If you consider a communist, you consider a terrorist, man. You know, so from World War I to World War II, even 9/11, right?
We're not letting it happen. Because communism is the enemy of free people everywhere in the world. Never works. It's the enemy of the Constitution. Above all, it's the enemy of July 4th, 1776.
And you know, you should know the history of that. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you wasn't free
during this time of the first the independence of the celebration of independence, and when independence the independence war happened, you wasn't free during that time, man, right? And what he said is unconstitutional, being a communist. But like the facts of the Andrew Jackson, which I got the proof on that, which I'm gonna play because I made the lesson on it. You know that this guy, I mean, it was unconstitutional, man. What happened during that period of time?
The Chickasaws, the Choctaws, the Creeks, the Cherokees. They were forcibly dispossessed. Now,
Hold up, yeah, this the devil. I try to oh this is the wrong one. Lucky that was my mistake. It was the wrong one. Here it is.
the Chickasaws, the Choctaws, the Creeks, the Cherokees. They were forcibly dispossessed. Now, clearly, there were many, many forces and attitudes to explain why the banishment of the Indian from his own lands was inevitable. But this was one, a very powerful force, though a harmless-looking thing. This is cotton, young cotton, 3 weeks away from full bloom. When the Southern pioneers broke through the mountains and came into these flat lands and the Mississippi Delta beyond, they saw what they wanted their West to look like, an empire of cotton, not a campground for Indian tribes. So the great cotton states, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, they outlawed the tribal kingdoms. And in 1830, Andrew Jackson, who was then president, pushed a bill through Congress ordering that all the Indian tribes, whatever, farmers, hunters, whether they were hostile, peaceable, to be removed west, to the west of the Mississippi. Well, they started to pad away, the Choctaws, the Creeks, the Chickasaws. There was a brave pause when the Cherokee appealed to the Supreme Court, and Chief Justice Marshall ruled they were right. There was no constitutional right to remove them from their ancestral lands. President Jackson said this decision is, and I quote, too preposterous. And in one of the most shameless and possibly the most arbitrary act of an American president, he simply ignored the Supreme Court and he said to the army, get them out. The Chickasaws, the Choctaws.
So he used the military to force these Native Americans to say whatever, even if the tribes were peaceable. You know, so they had tribes or Indian tribes, so to speak, that they was at peace with. That's the reason why they had peace treaties, right? So more or less, that's the what they call 5 civilized tribes, if I'm not mistaken. That's the reason why they call them the 5 civilized tribes, because more or less they was like had a peaceful relationship with these 5 particular tribes. But nonetheless, they forced them off the land, man. So what did you call it? They call that you're being displaced, you're being forced, you're being banished, you're being displaced. And the scripture tells you, have a scripture on that. This is the book of Psalms 55 and 20. He said he put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant, right? These peace treaties, right? So he even though he was at peace with these tribes that they was at peace, what they call savage ones, the ones that really didn't tolerate Esau like that. You know what I'm saying? Because they understood how this devil is. You can't reason with a beast. That's how Esau is, man. You can't reason with a beast. You know, even though they try to flip the script, that's what Esau does. Like even to this current date, he's calling people terrorists and all that. But look at his actions. You know, and that should be self-explanatory, you know. But he's not doing nothing different that he was doing before, right? So even these tribes that he was at peace with, he forced them off the land. He forced them westward, which basically displaced these Native Americans. Basically, what they stole their land. And you heard he used the military, the army, to force these Native Americans westward, which led to the Trail of Tears,
was basically they took their land, man, to plant, like this guy explained, their empire or kingdom of cotton. So that's what they see. They see they ain't want them to stay there on their lands. They seen it as a place where we can field and harvest cotton, right? Cotton empire. But you know, which I probably gonna keep playing this video a little bit, but he's saying what? He's saying whoever's saying that, telling our kids that we on stolen land and our heroes were oppressors, um, they are communists. Basically, you a terrorist. So that's what Esau does, right? And bring up points that I brought up in my lesson. So yeah, man, because that's what Esau is going to do, man. He's going to make a man an offender for a word. He's going to bring up these false allegations to incriminate whoever he needs to.
1776, it is the enemy indeed. Even while the radicals and extremists attack our incredible history at every turn, they are silent on the miserable history of communism itself because it never worked. Thousands of years, if you look at it, under different names, under somewhat different ideologies and systems, that system has led to more death and destruction than any system ever tried. It killed 100 million people just in the last century alone. Communism is the exact opposite of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's death, tyranny, and the pursuit of evil. The godless communist morality states that anything is justified to bring about inhuman visions and to really propose what's good. They don't want good. They don't love God, and they don't want God. They don't love religion, and they don't want religion, and they won't have it. But we will not let them win. They have no chance against us. They have no respect for law, justice, principle, tradition, or your God-given rights. It's an ideology of mass theft, mass control, mass lies, and mass murder. Such doctrines can be given no quarter in a democracy, because the first thing they do when they get into power is turn around and destroy it. It always is destroyed, just as communists have done in other countries all over the world, no matter where you look. Very simply, communism represents the worst ideas and abuses in history by the worst people. The American founding represents the best ideas and traditions in history by the best people like you. You can be loyal to Karl Marx, or you can be loyal to America. You can be a communist, or you can be a patriot. You cannot be both. As for those who peddle Marxist lies about our heritage, tell our children that we live on stolen land or that our heroes were oppressors, they're doing something much worse than slandering our past. They are slandering and attacking our future. Not going to let that happen. They're trying to tear down the great American character, to destroy the people who declared independence, who crossed the Delaware, who settled the West, and conquered the skies. You know who those people are. But we will never let that happen. Our American ancestors did not shed their blood at Concord and Trenton, Gettysburg and Shiloh, Midway and Normandy, just so that a band of thieves, radicals, and lunatics could come in and loot, pillage our nation. Our heroes died to win, build, and to save, and to build truly a great country, the greatest country ever in the world.
So he made a broad statement there, man. Like he made a broad statement. You know, he was basically aiming towards these Democrats, but anybody can fall within that category, man. Anybody that tells the truth. He was aiming this communist rhetoric basically at Democrats, basically. you know what I'm saying, basically at them. But nonetheless, it's a broad statement that anybody can fall in, right? Because what he made a statement that he said, if anyone's telling our children that we on stolen land and that our heroes, meaning their presidents, forefathers are oppressors, you are communist. Then he related the communism to what happened in 9/11. What happened there? So, that's a broad statement that he stated there, man. And anybody can fall within that category, right? And we know according to True State, we understand these elites is targeting the men of the Lord anyway. They got to find ways to incriminate the men of the Lord, Because even that through the spirit, I made which I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna play this one. I'm gonna play this video anyway, real quick, because I put a short video on it. How they view the Messiah. They said this guy said is a notorious or the most notorious act against truth and power was the quote unquote Jesus trial that Jesus was on, right? The Messiah, Yahushua was on with Pontius Pilate. He said that was the greatest, I forgot how he said it, example of truth against power. So we understand who's in power, right? Esau Edom's is in power, right? And we understand who has the truth, like the men of the Lord, which one of their slogans is they have 100% truth, right? The men that we learn from. So it's basically it's going to happen again. You said the most famous act of truth against power was the trial of the Messiah. His trial that he was on this guy. He said that, right? This Edom. I posted some time back. I'm gonna just play this.
It's the ultimate source of centuries ago, a very famous trial, and it's the trial of Jesus. And I used to wonder a lot, why is there such detail about the trial of Jesus until I realized what it was about. Jesus was put on trial for political terrorism, to put it in modern terminology. He was a threat to the Roman power base. Jesus was put on trial for political terrorism, to put it in modern terminology. He was a threat to the Roman power base. And Jesus was put on trial for political terrorism, to put it in modern terminology. He was a threat to the Roman power base. And Pilate, the governor at the time, put him on trial and conducted the trial himself, which was most unusual, and said, "Are you a king?" And Jesus looked at him and said, "Well, not in the sense you mean. To this end I was born, to this end I came into the world, that I would bear witness to the truth." And Pilate famously responded, "What is truth?" and went out and declared Jesus innocent of the charge. And then he said to him just a bit later, "Don't you know I have power to crucify you?" And Jesus quietly said, "You would have no power against me unless it had been given to you from above." So there's one of the most famous confrontations between power and truth. And that statement that Jesus made, "I have come to bear witness to the truth," I regard that as the main motivation for my life. I'm trying to bear witness to truth as I see it at all kinds of levels in my own limited way.
Right.
It's the ultimate source of truth. And those two concepts, power and truth, clashed centuries ago in a very famous trial. And it's the trial of Jesus. And I used to wonder about, what?
So yeah, these two concepts of power and truth clashed centuries ago, man. He said the most famous one was the trial that Yahushua was on, right? He was out there speaking the truth. And he was against the powers that be that was in control, which was the Roman Empire, right? So that was that famous clash, and that's what's going on here, right? It's the same situation. But we speaking the truth, like I made that comparison who's in power? Obviously, the same people that was in power there, the Romans, which are the Edomites, which are the separate claim white man, they are in power, and, and this word is true. You know, history is true, facts is true. That's why the current commander in chief is trying to do away with like these black museums, like the Smithsonian, for example. You know, they trying to do away with. They trying to erase the so quote unquote black contributors of wars and history and all that. He's trying to lump that in with DEI, basically this Democratic Party, um, this Democratic Party administration. This Democratic administration, he's trying to lump the credibility and history of so-called black achievement throughout the years, even that's through wars or whatever, man, whatever contribution that the government recognized that a so-called black person did, he's trying to erase that, man. He had attempted to erase that, right? So that's facts, that's true, right? But he's trying to do away with it. So it's the same concept because, you know, the Bible is a history book in itself. You know, that's what the Bible is. It's a history book. You know, it's a history book. It's a present day book and a future book, a book on history, present, and future events, right? So he's trying to erase history, man, you know, and make it into his own image, like he's doing everything else. He's got a mindset of like he's God. I'm God on earth. I can rewrite history. I can create your heir. I can charge you for, you know, I ain't trying to get into that kind of get off the subject, but basically that's Esau's mindset that he's God on earth, that he can do anything, man. You know, he can create history all over again. He can rewrite history, right? So he's saying anything that's contrary to what he say, basically you're an enemy, man. And going back to these presidents, they said you can look it up. White United States presidents own slaves, right? So it says 12 U.S. presidents own slaves at some point in their lives. 8 of them holding enslaved people while in office, right? So they had 12 presidents, which that's your heroes. He was making reference to, you know, he's saying that if you call our heroes oppressors, you're more or less a communist / terrorist, you know, because you know that ain't what we teaching, you know, we ain't teaching the truth here. We teaching whatever I say is true, you know. That's oppression in itself, man. And this is secular history, man. Right? It says the list of presidents who owns enslaved people includes George Washington. Was not he on the Mount Rushmore? Yeah, he was one of them. Thomas Jefferson, I think he was on there too. Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, Andrew Jackson. I think he was on Mount Rushmore. Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, says John Taylor, James K. Polk, Zachary Taylor, Andrew Jackson, you say I can't say it. Ulysses S. Grant. I can't. Ulysses S. Grant, whatever. I can't pronounce his name correct. These was presidents that had slaves, man. You know, these presidents had slaves, man, and 8 of them had slaves while they held office. Is that not oppression, man? You know, slavery is slavery not oppression? It is oppression, man. And going back to Andrew Jackson, man, that the Indian Removal Act, that stole you stealing land from these people. That was all it was their land, but you pushed them off. That's stolen land in itself. You stealing these people's land, being displaced. It says signed into law by U.S. President Andrew Jackson on May 28, 1830. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 authorized the president to negotiate treaty exchanging, or the president to negotiate treaties exchanging Native American tribe lands in the east for federal territories west of the Mississippi River. The act paved the way for the forced displacement. Look, forced displacement of tens of thousands of Native Americans. Man. So look at what is forced displacement. Man. What do you mean by forced displacement? So I looked up forced displacement. It says we refer to forced displacement when the movement from a person's region or country is involuntary or coerced due to persecution, conflict, generalized violence, human rights violations, or the adverse effects of climate change, environmental degradation, or disaster. Right. So they refer to forced displacement is a person's region or country is involuntary or coerced due to persecution, conflict, generalized violence, man. You know, what is the meaning of forced displacement? So forced displacement is the involuntary or coerced movement of individuals or communities from their homes, usually due to war, persecution, violence, or disaster. Man. So what is that, man? You're forcing these people off their land by violence because you use the military, right? So is that not stolen? You stole people's lands, man. Not going into Cristobal Colon. We won't even have to go into that, you know, which I brought that up in the lesson. But even that, even with your current president at that time, Andrew Jackson, which he put into law the Indian Removal Act, that was forced displacement of the Native Americans, man. And so basically, you stole their land. This is history, man. You know what the fuck, you know. But that's what Esau gonna do, man. And he's gonna lump people up. We've been telling you this, you know, warning. But our job is to do what Yahweh Bashim Shai, to do the work of Yahweh. That's our job, right? So this is a part of what the Lord has us to do. So we must let this be known. We understand what this devil's about, you know. So what you call that, man? And like I brought out 12 fucking presidents had slaves, man. That's oppression. Forcing people out their lands, that's oppression, man.
And I just want to interject right quick. I asked Chat GPT a question. I asked Chat, I said, is slavery and Native American displacement an example of hatred? And the answer they gave back, it says, yes, slavery and the displacement of Native Americans are both examples of systems that were often driven, justified, and sustained by hatred, prejudice, and humanization. So like the dehumanization, though they also involve other motives such as economic gain, territorial expansion, and political power. So what they did was a form of hatred. That brings me to this precept. It's the book of Proverbs 10 and 18. It says, he that hideth hatred with lying, like a he that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool, man. That's pretty much what he's trying to do. They're trying to hide their hatred by having people accept lies, man.
He's uttering slander. So that's what he said. He said, "What whoever's saying this, you are slandering their history and their future." He said he's not going to have it, man. You know, he said he's not going to. He know he's not going to let that happen, man. You know, so yeah, man. Esau Edom is the devil, man, and the devil means slander. That's what the devil means, man. That's what he's doing, slandering people for saying the truth,
calling them communism. I mean, communist, pretty much a terrorist.
Like I made that example. This other Edomite said that that basically in the modern day sense, Yahweh Shai, the Messiah, he will be considered a political terrorist today. You know, I brought that short video out, that clip, that snippet, right? Because that's what he would be labeled. Even as men today, that's what they're gonna label us, like terrorists. They're gonna lump us up. Like I said, this political division, he's aiming at primarily Democrats, but it's a broad statement for everybody. But it was basically aimed at Democrats, but anybody can be in that category if you fit what he's talking about. You know, so he said that anybody that's telling their children that they own stolen land and our heroes were oppressors, man, you a fucking terrorist. And you know, Trump was trying to remove black museums and shit and historical images, right? And I looked it up by AI Overview. It says President Trump's effort to alter historical and cultural narratives are rooted in his executive order titled Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History, man. So, you know, his efforts to alter historical and cultural narratives are rooted in his executive order titled Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. This directive instructs the National Park Service and Smithsonian Institution to remove or revise exhibits that the administration claims inappropriately disparage Americans' past, man. So, you know, he's trying to alter history, man. So basically, it's what you're telling you. He's trying to change history, rewrite history, right? Through unrighteous decrees. This executive order is basically is an unrighteous decree, man. And I brought that precept out. I think it's Isaiah chapter 1, Isaiah chapter 10. And right? It says, woe, this is Isaiah chapter 10:1. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment and take away the right from the poor of my people. Right. So he's taking away your rights, man. He took away the right. They said that even with the Indian Removal Act, that was unconstitutional. They had no right to displace these Native Americans off their land. But through, you know, the Indian Removal Act, which is an unrighteous decree, you know, he broke the law, which incriminated or gave them power to use force, the executive branch, which was the military, to force you out. He wrote it into law. He wrote the unrighteous decree, and then used the military as the force, the executive branch, right? Turn aside the needy, Isaiah 10:2. Turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, that they may rob the fatherless. So that's what Esau does. Esau does. I got another piece I brought this out also in my lesson. I think it's Malachi chapter 2. Yeah. Malachi chapter 2, verse 1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage, man. So that's what it is, man. They wrote these unrighteous decrees, these laws. They come up all night, they stay up all night writing these unrighteous decrees, these grievous policies. They practice, they put it into practice, right? That's why they passed the law, so they can practice, put the law into practice. Now the power, because they got the power to do so. They run this country, right? So they put these laws into practice because they got the power to do so. To do what? And they cover fields, take them by violence, and houses, take them away. So they oppress a man. So you are oppressed. So what that is, you took a man's house away, their land, right? You took a man's house and land away. That's oppression, man. They covet fields and take them away by violence, right? Forced displacement. Forced displacement is violence, the use of violence. These people was forced displaced off their land and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. So this was their ancient land. This was their inherited lands, man. This is lands that they had in their heritage, man. This was theirs. He took it away. So that's oppression, man, according to the Bible, you know. So yeah, man. So nobody's slandering when they say that's the truth, man. Nobody's slandering that they say this land was stolen. That they got presidents that own slaves. That's oppression, man. Andrew Jackson, for example, he had a unrighteous decree that he put into effect to displace Native Americans. That's oppression.
And then what he also did what? He said that the Supreme Court ruled on the side of the Native Americans, but he disregarded their ruling and forced them off anyway. Yeah, that's an act of terrorism right there. You know, and also did you say Trump? He referred to simplify. He said they're not. He said something about I don't know if he said reference to the Bible or
No Constitution.
no. He said something also about the Bible. That Clifford was saying, he was like, he said Bible, he said they're not Christian or something like that. I forgot. He referenced one of the two. He referenced either he said something about this, they're not Christians or they're not, I can't recall, but he did say something in that clip he played about him talking about slandering whoever said our leaders are oppressors, or in that clip he did mention either the Bible or he mentioned Christianity. So right there he's referring to the Bible and the views of the Bible. If he referenced the Bible or a form of Christianity, that means that he should be living by the book, right? But let's go to the book of Ezekiel. I got a precept. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel 46:18. It says, moreover, the prince, pretty much he's in a position of a prince, like the ones before him. He said, moreover, the prince shall not take the people's inheritance by oppression, thrust them out of their possession, but he shall give his sons inheritance out of his own possession, that my people be not scattered every man from his possession. Man. So he's contrary, like the Andrew Jackson that we just said, and his this current administration commander in chief, his support of presidents before him, as he referred to their leaders, pretty much these Edomites forefathers, they're no fathers of us, of ours, meaning the children of Israel. These Edomites forefathers, he stand behind that. He stand behind that act that those presidents before him done, man. He stand behind that, man. But the Bible, and then, like I say, he did reference either the Bible or something like he said they're not Christian. I think that's what he said. Something like they said they're not Christian, X, Y, Z. You know what I'm saying? So he's referring to the Bible. But according to the Bible, it says what? Ezekiel 46:18. He says, moreover, the prince shall not take the people's inheritance by oppression. That's what he did. The people's inheritance means your possession, your land, whatever you have. To thrust them out of their possession, meaning that you thrust them out of their possession, meaning their land, man. But he shall give his sons inheritance out of his own possession, that my people, the Lord's people, may not be scattered, every man from his possession, man. But that's what Esau Edom done, man. He removed the northern kingdom out of the land, out of this land, man. You know, the what they call America today, man, by force, man. You know, by oppression, man. And the Bible said you should do that, but they want to reference that they're not. I think it's what he said. They're not, I think mistaken. They're not Christians. X, Y, Z. You know, so they have some idea. They try to profess like they have some ideology or some moral compass of the Bible, but their acts, just like that. There was another guy. He said that America. He said America was never a Christian country. There was never something like that. You know, so you know that he's speaking as an Edomite pastor, speaking that what he stated that America was never a Christian country.
It never will be.
Yeah, he said if it was, they never would have displaced or slaughtered 20 million Native Americans. Then he went into what he did to the Southern Kingdom, man. So they want to act like they have Bible or Christian values, but their acts is contrary, man.
That's what the scripture said. You shall know them by their fruits, right? You shall know them by their fruits. And also, I made a lesson on that, and that's exactly right. They said Christianity. There's facts that that America is not a Christian. Even like that pastor, they say America founding wasn't based upon Christianity, man. You know, he was basically a pagan revised. Because this guy, he might explain it, man. Which I'm gonna make a lesson on it because I made the first part of it about is America a true Christian is America's a true Christian nation? And I'm gonna make a second part because this Edomite tells you, he says, no, America wasn't founded on Christian values, it was basically founded on a revised pagan system. And that revised pagan system is wrong.
Hey, Carl, I got the video right here. I'm gonna just play it right quick.
A Christian nation. You don't live in one now. There has never been a Christian nation. You don't live in one now. It has never been a Christian nation and never will be. A Christian nation would never have killed and displaced 20 million Native Americans who are still left out and living in poverty. A Christian nation would never have thought that owning slaves was pleasing to God or that it lined up with Scripture in any way, shape, or size. And we not only practiced it, but we were so obsessed with it that we went to war about it. We had a civil war. And in that civil war, 500,000 Americans died. That's more than Americans that died in World War II or any other war we've ever had. Our own civil war. We killed 500,000 of our own people so people could have the right to own other people as property. There has.
So I'm gonna just iterate something. Yeah, so right there lets you know, like he's trying to profess that, and I'm talking about your current commander in chief trying to say they're not Christians as if they were. And this pastor right here, this is their pastor, this is Edomite in their Congress at their nation's capital, stating the facts, man, that this country said, pastor explains why the United States will never be a Christian nation. It said it would never be, it never was, and it would never be a Christian nation, man. Because of how much these devils try to utter the word, and because they can say it, doesn't make it true. Like they try to say, just like you were saying, he's calling people that speaks the truth communist, meaning that he referring to you as a terrorist. Doesn't mean it's true, man. You know, they don't want to neglect the facts. Like they don't want just like I just mentioned, you know, in the beginning. They don't want they don't want to be held accountable for their actions, right? You know, but they criticize everybody else and try to demonize everybody else for anything that they can find out about them, but they don't want to be held accountable for their atrocities, man. You know, until their atrocities to this day. Like I said, just like the elder said, but I see a lot of Jake, that's what he is, because a lot of them young and naive, just like when I was young. That's why I said I can't follow. You know, but I ever said, what? Get the hell out of the military, man. If you black, I'm gonna say you ain't gotta be black. You part of Jake, that means the Southern or Northern Kingdom. Native American, Mexican, black, whatever these five words and proverbs, you're being identified today. Get out of the military, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not for you, man. You know, if your only thing you're doing is helping your oppressor, man, to be honest.
Yeah, further his agenda. That's ironic because I just seen there's a video here, it says this. There's a video here that I just clicked on it. It says, I'm gonna watch it later. It says it's racist. It says Simone Porches headself targeting a black serviceman, targeting of businessman. I haven't seen the video, but he says he headself is the head of goddamn the Department of Defense, what they call it, the Department of War now. But he said he's targeting black service members. Man. I don't know what's that all about, but that's what the headline means. Man. I got a precept, This is the book of Isaiah 29, verse 20. It says, for the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed. And all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. Right? So that's basically what they're gonna trying to bring forth, man. They're gonna try to bring these this legislation, these unrighteous decrees to make you an offender, basically to incriminate you, right? Like that's why he said he's not gonna let it happen. So how he's gonna do it? He's gonna have to pass laws, unrighteous decrees, these policies, and then use the force of the sword, his executive branch, the military, police, whatever three-letter agency they got out there to target and track down people, man. But it's a part of their agenda.
That was like, this is off the subject, but it's still relevant. And you see, that's what these devils trying to do. We in Babylon the Great, they are causing confusion. At the beginning, let's say this movement or this talk about emancipation, that's what they call it, the slave, right? The Republicans was pro-black people. The Democrats were anti-black people, meaning that's where the Klan originated from, the Democrats. But now today, you see these Confederate flags, they try to act like the South was they identify the South with being Republican, or now the North is being the Democrat, meaning that the North want to liberate. If you a Democrat, you for black. If you a Republican, you're anti-black, and they want to associate these oppressors with the Republican Party. In all actuality, it wasn't like that. This shit is all fucking confusion, man. Now
you want to know that unless what? You knew history. You want to know that unless you knew factual history, man. And that's a good point, man. See, this devil can manipulate anything. He can rewrite history. Like right there in that, what the brother I just described, more or less, as a visual rewriting of history, man.
And so and I want to say this too, and that wasn't too long ago. That was during the 60s. During this civil rights era, they knew what party was part of. The Democrats, they knew they were still Klan members, man. They was part of the Klan movement. That was during the 60s, the mid-60s. And look at that ain't been too long ago. It's like people forgot what party was party and what was really going on, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like even when I was growing up, I had a classmate of mine, mother was uttered that word to me trying to say, vote Democrat. I'm like, I remember she said that, but I'm like, there was no real explanation on why. You know what it was? It was just something somebody told her, and the only thing she did, she just passed it down, man. These jokers don't know what they're getting into. They're just like this whole civil rights movement. there was another gentleman, I can't think of his name right now, but he went into it. He said this whole movement, he said they never had a plan, man. They just jumped into some shit and they didn't have no real plan about what was going on, man, or what the outcome was going to be, man. You know what I'm saying? Just like I mentioned now, you got these people that was originally Democrats. Now they're the Republican Party. Now they want to say they anti-black, but that party was originally, meaning the Republicans, pro-black, if that's you want to call it. There was what they call the abolitionists, the people that want to abolish and the free or self-free so-called slaves that moved from the South, you know what I'm saying, to the North, which the Democrats was originally the ones that was pro-slavery. You know, the Republicans was the party that was anti-slavery, as they call it. You know, but now it's like it's the other way around. It is a bunch of goddamn fucking confusion, man. You know, because these devils don't want you to know the truth, man. I just seen some other things too. I'm gonna go into it, but they was going into these I don't want to get too far off the subject, but yeah, these elites, how they were saying that they don't want. He said the people find out the truth about them. He said this is coming from the elites. Rockefeller family. He said that the people find. He said we're gonna keep them confused, man. That's what this shit is. Is by design. This confusion is by design. They said they're gonna keep people confused. He said because people knew who we really were and what we done. He said because eventually it's gonna be known what we've done. But he said if people really knew what we've done, they're gonna know who we are, something like that. But he said they realize what we've done. He said we're gonna be hunted down. There's nowhere we can hide. So yeah, man, that's what this shit is by design, man. Confusion. This shit is by design and shit, man.
And what this place is called Babylon, Great Confusion. That's what this place is. Babylon the Great is great confusion in America. Right? I got a precept of the book of Psalms 37:12. It says the wicked plotteth against the just and gnashes upon them with his teeth. You go into that word teeth, the definition of teeth, right? I'm just get it, right? The definition of teeth, or it says tooth. Teeth basically means legislation. Going to the word tooth. It means like legislation too, like teeth. It means like legislation. You gotta change the shit up over there on the internet. That's why everybody wants everything digital. So you can just at a click of a mouse, you can just switch things up. You can just edit redact, edit, change things up according to at a click of a mouse, according to how he feels. Okay, I got it right here. You go into the word teeth, it says beyond anatomy, the term teeth can also refer to various tooth-like projections or inanimated objects, such as the teeth of a comb, the sharp projections of a saw, or the clog on the ear. In idioms, it can also refer to power or ability to enforce rules. Example, a law that has some teeth, right? So that's what it's talking about there, man. The idiom, right? So that's what this devil's gonna do. These unrighteous decrees, right? He's gonna pass these laws, right? Gnash upon the just with his teeth, with these laws, he's gnashing upon us, right? Says the wicked plotteth against the just and gnashes upon him with his teeth, right? His unrighteous decrees he's passing, right? These laws that this devil passed to bring about his agenda. It says, the Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy and to slay such as be of upright conversation. Man. So what we speaking is upright conversation, man. So that's what this devil's doing, man. The wicked have drawn out the sword. What? That's his military branch. He's unpassed, he'll gnash upon us with his teeth, his law. Now he's going to use his sword. He's going to draw out the sword, right? His military weapons, right? His military, these executive agencies, these three-letter agencies, try to come up and try to and come at us, man. The wicked have drawn out the sword, have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be of upright conversation, man. So that's what this devil his intentions is going to be, man. Right? That's why King David said, he said, the wicked that is thy sword. Take me from the wicked. Psalm. So that's what these devils are. They the fucking wicked, man. This is Psalm 17 and 13. It says, arise, O Lord Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Right? So that's what these devils gonna do, man. King David was saying, asking for a prayer of protection from the wicked, man. We know who the wicked is. Esau Edom. Esau Edom. Esau blessing was the sword, right? So this devil got all type of warfare that the Lord allowed this devil to master, man. That's why and a part of warfare is propaganda. Basically what? Feeding you lies to keep you confused. That's a weapon in itself too. Information can be used as a weapon, meaning disinformation too. Information is a part of disinformation, right? So propaganda is a warfare strategy. That's how he got you people. He got you people confused. Just like the Op was saying, these elites want people to be confused, because if they knew the truth, they'd be hunting them down. I seen that same thing. It was from the Rockefellers. They were saying that shit, right? So that's what this devil's gonna do eventually. That's why he said that anybody telling our kids that we on stolen land and our heroes are oppressors, and we ain't standing for that. Now you got damn fucking Confederate flag on waivers in the Republican Party, and it was in the KKK and these Confederate motherfuckers with the Democrats during this Civil War issue. That's
to the civil rights movement.
right. They went to the civil rights.
See, that's what the confused nigga, like I said, when I was just looking up a video, and Lord willing, I'll probably make a video of this, that, you know, that's what these Negroes around here confused. They go back, because that's what it is. They go back and they realize, from me analyzing this through the spirit, they know maybe they can trace their family members to part of the Republican. I'm talking about these modern niggas, like, yeah, man, my great grandfather was a Republican. I'm talking about these Negroes, fall on the side of the Republican. But see what these motherfuckers did, they hijacked that party, meaning these Klan members. Now you're waving around the same flag, and that they said that flag that they got, that Confederate flag with the X in the middle, with the stars. They said that was not that was not an original Confederate flag. I just went into the history of it. It was not an original Confederate flag, but it was adopted and made to support this dude. I think what's his name? Yeah, Robert E. Lee. They said it was primarily a battle flag of the Army of the Northern Virginia associated with the Confederate General Robert E. Lee. So that flag with the X was it wasn't an original Confederate flag, but it was a battle flag for the Northern Virginia associated with the Confederate Robert E. Lee, which these people were Democrats, man. You know, but see, that's what they doing. They confuse these niggas. What they doing? They're driving you to your oppressor, man. Back to the motherfuckers that want you in bondage. So they want you act like, yeah, man, I'm part of the Republican, man. Find some banner that represents oppression to keep you oppressed, but because these devils switch from Democrat to Republican now, and these Negroes can say, man, I can trace my people's history, or I got information in historical information, historical facts that my great grandfather fought on for the Republican, and these damn devils hijacked the Republican Party now. Now you want to act like y'all all the same, y'all fighting for the same cause, but really all you doing is helping these, you're running back to your oppressor, these damn niggas, because they don't know the truth. They don't know that this the real history. All they know is what some pale face tell them. I'm really Republican. It's our banner, this Confederate flag. Hey, Negro, you with us. You know what I mean? That's further confusing. They think. And then you got these niggas acting like they pro-Democrat. Really, they fucking Klan. You know what I mean? It got you voting for these motherfuckers, but these are the motherfuckers that want to keep you oppressed, man. It's a bunch of goddamn confusion, man. You know, and that's where we at right now. Because these people, like I said, these niggas know that they because that's originally what the Republican was for. That was what they considered anti-slavery. You know, and the Democrats were pro-slavery all the way up until the 1960s. They knew this was that they knew what party was who. You know, but now it's like after the adoption of this civil rights movement, right? This after the adoption of this civil rights movement, this Civil Rights Act, now it's like the shit just flipped, man. Now they want niggas to vote Democrat, and the opposing party, the Negroes, the Republicans now. It's all a bunch of fucking confusion, man.
I got a precept the Lord saying that these last days will be like this. There'll be a bunch of confusion, right? This is the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 16, verse 21. It says, behold, visuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. Even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion, man. So that's what's growing upon the earth. Great confusion is growing upon the earth, man. The only ones that know what's going on is the men of the elect, right? Everybody else is going to be in great confusion, meaning you don't know what's going on. But only ones that's going to know what's going on is the men of the Lord, because like the scripture said, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of that time. So this wisdom and knowledge that Yahweh Bashim El Shai has in his Bible is going to keep us stable. Meaning what? We know what's going on because the Lord said these things are going to happen. Everybody else going to be in great confusion. You don't know what's going on. You don't know you don't know to go to right, left, up, down. You don't know what the fuck going on. You know, but this wisdom and knowledge is keeping the elect stable, keeping us stable, right? But everybody else will be in great confusion, man. Just like the I said, that's what the elites want. The elites want you confused, man. Because if you knew what I was trying to find that quote, that saying, because that's what it is. These people are already in the dirt, you know, already their bodies are decomposed and their spirits is back for Yahweh Shah Shah, basically, you know, unless they've been already reincarnated. And they act like what these sayings that they said during their time of on this earth, they can pass it off as conspiracy theories. Oh, that's what they said. He said because this person is no longer around, so it's easy to say, oh, this is conspiracy. They said that such and such said such and such. We have no evidence of that, you know. But when they was alive, it was known that this person said this thing, you know, said this, that, and the third. With this evidence is evidence that a lot of this stuff is being said is basically can be backed up with facts. But that's how these people might try to pass it off because these devils are being revealed as who they are, what the wicked. So they have like anything negative said about them, they're gonna pass it off as conspiracy theory. You know, oh, it's conspiracy theory. They're trying to say this, that, and the third, man, because that's what Esau does. He got you people in great confusion, man. That's what the Lord says is going to be growing upon the earth. The sword, famine, and great confusion, man. So that's what time we're living in. Time of great confusion. You know, that's why you got these damn fucking twisted, for example, these twisted individuals looking like men. Looking like women. You know, that's great confusion. But they're biological men, biological males, but they out in appearance looking just like women. You know, I seen a video, this lady was saying that earlier. Saying that yesterday about these damn twisted individuals like that. They look like attractive women. That's great confusion, man. But they biological men. That's this one example, man. You know,
That sorcery is damn fine. It's goddamn wickedness, man.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what this devil's gonna do, man. He's gonna come down with a sword. He's coming down because, like I said, it says in Book of Revelation 12:12, man. He's gonna come down with great wrath because he knows time is short. You know, so he gotta make these false allegations, make people seem like they're criminals by speaking the truth. You know, like we said in Isaiah 29, make a man an offender for a word. So that's what this devil's going to do. He's going to try to make a man an offender for a word. Primarily, he's trying to target these elites anyway, the men of the Lord. You know, but that's what's going on. Great fear is coming upon these devils, right? Because they hearing this truth come out. The scripture also says that the word is into the ears of the noble. I think that's in Jeremiah. For the gates of the noble. So these elites, they know, they hear the men of the Lord saying what they're saying. That's why they in a panic. It's Isaiah 13. They in a panic, they in panic mode, and they in desperation mode. They panicking. Now they in desperation mode because they know their time is short. Right? This is Isaiah chapter 13:1. It says the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah, son of Amos, did see. It says, lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. That high mountain is America, right? It says, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, and they may go into the gates of the nobles. So that banner is the Bible, right? And that's what the men of the Lord is doing. They are out preaching his word, and it's into the gates of the noble. You know, so that's why they in panic mode. They in panic mode and also in desperation mode. So they gotta make up these false narratives and try to make people seem like they're criminals when you're exercising your rights Even that's why they're attacking these protesters. Well, people have a right to protest, but now you don't have that. That freedom of speech. You're being targeted. Your freedom of speech is being targeted. Your freedom of protest being targeted. You know, all of these different type of rights that you allegedly supposed to have, they targeted. They trying to take them away. And like now you're a criminal for exercising your right. You know, so you know that's what this devil is doing, man. He's in desperation mode, so he got to come up with these ideas to incriminate whoever he needs to that's against that's opposing their agenda, right? So that's what these devils are doing, you know? Because what like it says in Revelation, it says great fear fell upon them, man. In the book of Revelation 11:11, it says that after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them with sorrow. So these elites, they see what's going on, man. They see these videos, they see these men, they see the men of the Lord on the highways and hedges, you know, preaching that word, and that's indication of prophecy, and they know their time is short. So that's basically what it is. They in desperation mode. They are basically Salakia, they in panic mode and in desperation mode, right? They know their time is short, so now they getting desperate. Now they gotta make you an offender for exercising your right. You know, anything that they can point a finger at, you know, they can point a finger at you for something they doing. They did Apostle Paul like that. They said he was a sedition, a mover of sedition, right? So they said the Apostle Paul for preaching the Bible. They said he was a mover of sedition, right? Amongst the Jews, right? The book of Acts 24:5, right? Acts 24. Because yeah, they did the apostles like that. Apostle Paul, for you know, they threw him in prison. You know, they persecuted obviously the apostles. You know, prophets. You know, so that's a form of what they're going to do. That's basically a form of this to build up the persecution. You know, they got to find a way to target you and make you out of a criminal. So they make up these unrighteous decrees. Now you become a criminal. So they just making up some shit to target you, right? So this is the book of Acts 24:1. It says, and after 5 days, Ananias, the high priest, descended with the elders with a certain orator named Apellius, who informed the governor against Paul. Right. And when he was called forth, Apellius, Tertullius, began to accuse him, saying, see that by thee we enjoy great quietness, and that very worthy deeds are done unto this nation by thy prophets. We accept it always in all places. Most notable Felix were all thankful. Right. So, you know, they bringing accusations against Paul and saying that, hey, under your rulership in your province, We enjoy great quietness, you know. We was done good to you. That's a lot. That's what some of these coons gonna be saying, hey man, we ain't doing nothing. Like I was talking to the brother the other day about being willfully ignorant. Ignorance is bliss. And that's what these people do. They want to be willfully ignorant to keep some illusion of peace. So if I stay unaware about what's going on, or what it says on the harsh realities of the world or something like that, I'm at peace. If I ignore the harsh realities of the world, I'm at peace. But that's a form of delusion, man. Right? Because I was looking that up the other day about how people want to
Yeah, I remember that too, and I think it also stated that they said it's like it's a debate or something like that. Like that's the I'm trying to think the exact word it said. That's the I don't know if it's that's the debate or something. I can't recall exactly. But yeah, I remember I went over that the other day, man. You know what I'm saying?
I got it right here. It says the famous saying implies that not knowing about a problem keeps you free from the worry and anxiety that the truth might bring. So yeah, man, that's what they do. They want to be willfully ignorant. They didn't say it just like that, but basically that'll work. It says the famous saying of ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. The famous saying implies that not knowing about a problem keeps you free from the worry and anxiety that the truth might bring. So these people want to be in some false peace, you know, because they want to be willfully ignorant, man. You know, that's the mind state of these people, man. They want to be like, nah, they ain't trying to find out what's going on. And they can care less. And all they can do, they being swayed to and fro. You know, because somebody can say this, somebody can say that, somebody can say that, somebody can say this, and what? They confused. Just like we read at the second Exodus, they in great confusion. These great confusion going to be on the planet Earth, so they don't know what to believe. So they're not going to believe anything. They just going to be like, whatever. You know, that's the mind state of a lot of these people, man. And basically, you know, that's what I was bringing that out. Paul, but basically that's what they're trying to say. Tertullius began to accuse him, Paul, saying that seeing that by thee we enjoy great quietness. Right? These people, they don't know what's going on. They don't want to hear the truth. You know, Paul speaking the truth. They rather be enjoying great quietness, that this illusion of peace, right? And that very worthy deeds are done unto you, and that very worthy deeds are done unto this nation by thy providence. Verse 3 says, we accept it always and in all places, most noble feelings with all thankfulness, notwithstanding that I be not further tedious unto thee, I pray thee that thou wouldest hear us of thy clemency a few words. For we found this man a pestilent fellow, a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world, a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes. So that's why they brought up accusation to accuse and target Paul, man. Because why? He was preaching the word, right? So they brought up these accusations, brought it to the governor, to his attention, hoping he make a decree or whatever, man, to so basically hoping to stop the spread of the gospel. And if they don't stop, they're gonna be incriminated. But there's also a section here, a section in the scripture, it says Acts also that they said, didn't we tell you not to preach in his name, in the name of Yahweh Shah? So that's what they're doing, man. They trying to. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to. They're trying to come up with these unrighteous decrees or policies to make you a criminal, man. That's what they're trying to do. I'm trying to find that section where we told the apostles not to preach in his name. No, I think it's in Romans. It's not Romans, but Acts. I was told. Acts 4:18. So yeah, that's basically what they're trying to do. They're gonna try to they had created this this law or decree that the apostles couldn't teach in the name of Yahweh Shah, man. Teach, right? You couldn't teach in the name of Yahweh Shah. Acts 4. Acts chapter 4, and start at verse 13. It says, now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were unlearned, ignorant men, they marveled, and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Yahushua. And beholding the man which was healed standing with them, they could say nothing against him. But when they had commanded them to go aside out of the council, they conferred among themselves, saying, what shall we do to these men? For that indeed a notable miracle has been done by them. It has been done by them and manifest to all them that dwell in Jerusalem. And we cannot deny it. But that is spread no further among the people. Let us straightly threaten them that they speak henceforth to no man in his name. And they called them and commanded them not to speak at all, nor teach in the name of Yahushua. So that's what they did, man. They threatened the men of the Lord. Hey, you couldn't deny that a miracle was done here in the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, but they threatened them and say, don't teach, right? Don't speak about the Lord, nor teach anybody in the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. So that's what they're doing. They're trying to make a man an offender for a word, right? Verse 19, it says that Peter and John answering said unto them, whether it be right unto the sight of God, of the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, to hearken unto you more than unto the Most High, judge ye. For we cannot but speak the things which we have seen, heard. Right. So they, Apostle Paul, John, they gonna continue in preaching in the words of Yahweh. Is it, so we obey you over the Most High? No. No. So the men of the Lord gonna continue preaching, man. No matter what these threatenings, because basically that's what these you can take that as a threat, or you speaking the truth. You speaking the truth, and they say your current commander in chief, your government said they're gonna do such thing. That's a threat, But we're gonna continue speaking the truth until Yahushua comes back. That was the commandment that he said we must do the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. We must do the will of the Father and the Son. That's to preach the word, man. Right? So that's basically a form of a threat. They trying to threaten you to stop telling the truth. Apostle Paul also says, have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? And that's where it lies, man. You become an enemy for speaking the truth.
I got another precept that we was commanded to. This book of Matthew 10 and 28. It says, it says, what I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in light, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell, man. So we don't care what these damn devils do, man. The Lord said, "What preach, man?" The Lord said, "He said, what I tell you in darkness, that ye speak to like that, speak ye in light, and what ye hear in your ear, that preach ye upon the housetop, man." So it comes to us. I'm gonna say, for instance, you may receive this message as an analogy, a whisper from the Lord in your ear, meaning that only you can receive it, only you heard it. But the Lord told you to do what? Preach upon the housetop, rooftop, meaning let everyone know what the Lord told you. For an analogy, whispered in your ear, and we don't, and the penalties we may face, we don't care what this devil may do to us, man. Because the Lord said, what? Don't fear these devils or what they can do to the body. Fear him, meaning Yahweh Shai, they can what? Both destroy soul and body in hell, man. Meaning being partakers of the damn destruction, this damnation that's gonna come upon Babylon the Great, aka America, man. That's what so basically that's what that precept is saying. Don't fear these devils, man. Fear Yahweh Shai. That's who we fear, man. We have that healthy fear of the Lord, man. You know what I'm saying? Not these fucking devils and what the fuck they're able to do, because we know they're through the spirit of Yahweh Shai. We know this damn reign of terror is coming to an end, man.
It's over anyway. Everybody gonna get their judgment, whether it be good or whether it be bad. You know what I'm saying? This is judgment time, man. These niggas, that's why these people don't understand, man. They think because they're gonna duck something. We continue in preaching this word, something's just gonna happen to us or whatever. No, motherfucker, you through.
Yeah, we acknowledge in the truth, regardless of what it may be, is the treacheries that these devils did in history to what they're doing currently up until this time. And we speaking this truth through the spirit of power, Yahweh Shai. Things are only going to happen to you, happen to us.
They gonna continue on in their fucking ass life. Like nothing went on. Man, you fucking delusion. This devil gonna come down with great wrath on all you people, man. He got an agenda. His agenda is to put a fucking microchip in your ass. Anybody that this and then what these what these people going to do is going to accept it and be destroyed. You know, even like the script, the scripture tells you, those that can sit unto him is going to be found in derision, trodden underfoot. Man. You know, a lot of you going to be put to death because still they got a depopulation agenda. You know, they're going to round you people up, put you in these concentration camps, man. They're going to give you an ultimatum. If you take the chip or you get put to death. Even those that take the chip, you still going to be put to death, man. You know, but this devil got a depopulation agenda, man. You know, and then while you take this fucking chip, you're gonna become a fucking slave, man. This devil can control you. He know everything about you. He got you on some limited some limitation on everything you do, to what food you consume, where you can go, and all this being tracked. So basically, you're a fucking slave. Who the fuck want to live like that, man? You know, that's why these people don't understand. They thinking that us doing this work, because like the scripture said, our work is not in vain. Us doing the work of the Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua is some damn false way. They just sit back and see what's going to happen. And then if whatever happens, just say some bullshit happened, it's just going to, oh, that happened to that person, then life's going to continue on. Man, fuck no, man. It's over. You people don't know what the fuck going on. Just like I read that ignorant is bliss. These people rather stay ignorant the being so fake mind state of peace and basically that's it. Being some fake mind state of peace, man. You know, this devil got an agenda of world domination and extermination, man. This devil.
Like neglect the realities of the world. They think they're gonna duck something. You know what I'm saying? They think that if they see a hot stove, and they all I gotta do, if I put my hand on it and neglect it, my hand ain't gonna be burnt. You know what I mean? These motherfuckers are delusional, man. But that's the mentality that these devils want to have you in. But I want to play this short clip right quick of the capability what these devils doing. Not only like the Ox said, because we speaking this truth through the spirit power of Yahweh, they think that things gonna happen to us. Now, this is what these devils doing.
My name's Josephine Gilbo. I'm a former intelligence officer. I spent 17 years in the U.S. Army. A modern Tomahawk missile is equipped with onboard cameras. Satellite imagery is constantly collected by several intelligence agencies, several countries in real time. The entire school was surrounded by colorful children painting flower, bright color murals, and it was without a doubt a school if you looked at it through satellite imagery. At 10 a.m., Israel, along with the United States, began attacking Iran. By 10:20, the staff at Minab School began evacuating the children. Strike one. Hit the school. The kids moved to the prayer room. Strike two. Hit the prayer room. 163 kids dead. Multiple sources, including intelligence reports, regional sources, and U.S. officials are required to confirm a target for the U.S. Navy and military operations to ensure accuracy and reduce errors. This is how it works. We just bombed the school knowing it was a school. Who are the terrorists? Who are the bad guys in this story? This is the story of our.
There you go. Who is the terrorist? Who are the bad guys? You think you want to duck something? These jokers knowingly destroyed, bombed the school, man. And they knowing it was a school full of children, man. You know, they said they consistently gather intelligence, man. So you see how merciless these jokers are, man. You see how much they neglect uh, uh, who it be. You know, they don't care. They don't have no regards if it's children or not, man. Them jokers gonna bomb you. And this is what they doing to people in other countries. You don't think these jokers feel the same way about you here? Yeah, man, because they've done this in history. Like they were talking about certain, like for instance, Tuesday, Oklahoma. And they did it back in 1980, I think, 1982, 83. You know, I think I was, if not a fucking year old when this happened. I think it was back when these states up north.
Chicago, they bombed they got them apartment complex.
Yeah, so they done this before, man. You know, man, you think these
You Negroes apartment complex. Yeah, they
Yeah,
bombed that shit.
you think these jokes gonna have any type of compassion for you niggas, man? So you wanna neglect the truth, man. You wanna act like you wanna be like I mentioned, like I mentioned several times, willfully ignorant, man. I'm a dunk. All I gotta do is ignore the truth, ignore reality. You know what I'm saying? These jokers passing legislation, trying to bring back other policies to keep your ass to put you back, you know, under what they call Jim Crow. Down, these jokers, like at one point before this integration, you had black people that, even though, you know, these jokers were still doing things to try to dismantle what you had I'm talking about collectively as so-called black people had, and the northern and southern kingdom. We was all doing good. They had wealthy northern kingdom too, like Native Americans too, back in Oklahoma and other various parts of the country, man. But nonetheless, with this civil rights shit, you this integration shit, you gave up all that. Now you niggas gonna run. You ain't got nowhere. You have nowhere to you know, because these devils control everything now, man. You know.
And another thing too, they putting all these data centers, which is polluting the damn environment, polluting the area, in these black communities, man. They doing that shit too, and that's where they erecting a lot of these data centers, man. And they going forward with the plan. You know, even they got pushback in some of these areas where Edomite talking about it, but they more or less building these motherfucking data centers in these black communities, man, these black areas and shit, black well-known areas in this United States and shit. You know, they building these fucking data centers, which is polluting that area, man. Why? Because they don't care about you, man. You know, they going forth. And also going back to what that video that I just showed about Iran, they talking about Trump said he's Iran's #1 target to renew conflict. He said Trump said he's Iran's #1 target as renewed conflict rises assassination fear. So you see why they trying to assassinate this dude, man. You gotta know the Trump revenge instruction for if any assassination, Trump's revenge instructions for if Iran assassinate him, man. Assassinate him. So you see why these people act like they want to assassinate this guy, man. He's killing innocent, indiscriminately bombing and killing people. You know, I ain't justifying, I ain't supporting them. This is headlines, man. But you see what they're doing over there to these people. Now, just the effects of they allegedly want to kill him.
Yeah, you got an Edomite personnel. She spent X amount of years in the military. And she said at the end, she said, who is the terrorist in this story? Who are the bad guys? You know what I'm saying? It's evident who is. These damn devils are, man. You know?
All right. And I got a quote from him. This is Donald Trump. This is what he posted. He says, Trump threatens Iran in case of assassination attempt. This from Donald Trump's post. It says 1,000 missiles are locked and loaded and aimed at the Islamic Republic of Iran, with thousands or more to immediately follow. Should the Iranian government act on this threat, pronounced in many corners, pronounced in many corners of the globe to assassinate or attempt to assassinate the sitting president of the United States of America, in this case, me. Orders have already been given, and the U.S. military is ready, willing, and able for a 1-year period of time, subject to extension, to completely decimate and destroy all areas of Iran. Praise be to Allah. President Donald Trump. This nigga said, praise be to Allah. So he's praising your God, and he's telling you that he's gonna bomb you. He got 1,000 missiles locked and loaded, and thousands more to come to bomb your ass for a year period, and he can continue that. It could be longer than a year. This is what this dude's saying, man. If he get assassinated by the Iranian government, man, you know, he's praising your God. Praise be to Allah. That's what this dude's saying. But I thought this was a Christian nation. This is fucking funny as hell, man.
Like we mentioned earlier, a bunch of confusion, man. You know, a bunch of confusion. Basically, he's being he's basically, to me, he's mocking your religion. You know, even though we know that's what it is. You know, all these religions are nothing more than idols, but that's what he's doing, man. He's mocking your religion in your face. You know, and you don't think these devils, you don't think other people can know his sarcasm. You know, you don't think these other people can. They've been noticing the atrocities of these the other countries have been noticing the basically the word I'm looking for is what there's one article, North Korea identified the United States as, trying to think of it, being, I can't even think of it, but these countries understand the things these Edomites over here be doing. It's you people here that is falling for the bullshit, man. You know, these other countries been figured out these devils a long time ago, man. You know
why they call them over there? They call them the Great Satan, some shit like that. They call America the Great Satan. Over there in Iran and all that, in Arabian countries, some of them call America the Great Satan. You know what I'm saying? And there is Israeli state too. You know what I'm saying? They call them both Satan shit, man. But this is a precept. This is the book.
So like I think I got it. Yeah, they North Korea. I read an article a long time ago. North Korea defined America as what, conniving, man. Meaning that you know what you're doing, but you're trying to act like you're not aware of it, or trying to act like you wasn't aware of it. You know, I didn't know. That's being conniving, man. But you knew the whole time. Like these other countries, man.
That's being a fucking snake and the devil.
Yeah, that's these people, these other countries, they figured these people out a long time ago, man. It's you people here in Babylon the Great want to believe this lie, man. You know, that these devils are not who they are and doing what they're doing, man.
I got a precept. This is the book of Jeremiah 49:15. I'm gonna read out the Amplified. It says, "For behold, Edom, I have made you small among the nations and despised among men." Right, and that's what it is, man. These people are. That's why they see, just like I was saying about even North Korea. They say they conniving, man. That's being a fucking devil. You know what you're doing, but you're trying to act like you don't. That's being a fucking devil, snake and shit. You're trying to be slick, right? So these other nations are despising you, right? Jeremiah 49:15 out of Amplified, it said, for behold, Edom, I have made you small among the nations and despised among men. As for your terror, the pride and arrogancy of your heart have deceived you, right? So who's causing terror, man? Edom. Edom is causing terror, just like that video just said. right? Who's the terrorist in this situation? Right? Edom is the terrorist, man. Verse 16 again, it says, as for your terror, the pride and arrogancy of your heart have deceived you. O you who live in the clefts of the rock, Salah, also called Petra, who hold and occupy the height of the hill. Though you make your nest as high as the eagles, I will bring you down from there, say the Lord Yahweh. Right, man. So who as for your terror? Who going around causing terror, man? Edom is going around causing, but he's putting that title on everybody else. Because why? He got the power to do so. Because he runs the wicked, the earth, Job 9:24. The earth was given into the hands of the wicked. So he has the power to say what he wants. He got the platform, you know. He got that platform to say whatever he wants to say, because the earth was given into his hand. So that's why he can come up with these false narratives, especially in America, Babylon the Great. He can bring these false narratives, which is propaganda, feed this disinformation to you, and you're gonna believe it. Why? Because he had the power to do so. You know, he's going around the earth causing this chaos and all this, and then acts of theism, and then he come back and put that label on whoever he wants to put it on, man. Just like he was saying there, being a kind is unconstitutional, this, that, and the third, but his actions are contrary to the Constitution, man. They were saying that early in his administration about what he's doing, and that it's contrary to the laws, contrary to the Constitution. He can't do that. The Constitution says he can't do that, but he's trying to go forth and doing some shit, man. You know, so more or less, you see what you're dealing with, man. The devil, man. Right? Verse 17, it says, Edom will become an object of horror. Everyone who goes by it will be astonished, shall hiss scornfully at all the plagues and disasters. So one of those disasters, just like he's threatening missiles. These people are talking about shooting missiles on countries and shit. He just said, totally decimating and destroying the whole country of Iran. So you think these other countries ain't got the same thing in mind about this place? They do, man. Because who's making all these threats and blowing motherfuckers up, and who's actually doing it? This country right here look like I said, look at all these other countries that they've been in war with: Syria, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, and other fucking places over there in the Middle East and places like that. The before and after pictures, man. And this is by bombs, man. Like they were drones and bombs. They done bombed the whole goddamn area. The shit got them decimated. So these people in these other countries know how America get down. So you don't think that they're going to prepare themselves to do the same thing to their land, to this land? Yeah, man, that's what they got an idea. Because this government over here is bombing the shit out of these other countries, man. Decimating the whole goddamn area, destroying whole areas of civilization, man. You know, buildings are destroyed, communities gone, generations gone, everything wiped the fuck out. They see how America get down, they still continuing it to this day. They did it in World War II with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, you know. So they see how these other countries see how America does. You think they ain't gonna prepare themselves to do the same to this place? They are, man. Because why? Because it's the will of Yahweh Bashim Shah, the will of the Lord, that this place of Babylon the Great to be a desolation, man. You know, that's the will of the Lord. You know, so that's it's only logical. The reason why people think this way, man. Only people with logical minds, reasonable minds, to see it. I'm not saying anything right or this person right. I'm just about logic. Like somebody's over there bombing your country, bombing your country, this country right here. You don't think you're gonna prepare yourself So you can bomb the shit out of them. That's why the scripture says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hook into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. That's why these other countries are building their military might because of what Esau is doing. He's going around. You know why he can go throughout the earth doing what the fuck he do? Because he got the military might. He got the military capability. He got the sword, which the Lord said his blessing is, right? But it's dwindling, that blessing is decreasing. Going down along with him, his blessing is decreasing. So that's why these other nations, they got the same capability now too that Esau got in efforts to what? To destroy Esau, man. You know, that's what it is, man. You know, because the devil, these devils going around doing what the fuck they want. There's evidence is there, but like I said, if you speak the truth, these devils gonna deem you a terrorist, an enemy of the state, communist, or whatever, man. You know, because they got the power to do so, man.
Got anything else? All right, we're gonna end our list. Before we do, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah, Bishop Akim, Julazil, the Lord willing, we'll be back, feed the flock again. The next time, Shalom, Barak Thon, and Barak Shalom.